Hi everybody, thank you in advance for watching this video. I put a lot of time and effort into this one and I hope it shows. I created a document here that we'll be following along in this video. It's a Google Doc and you'll all have access to it. I'll put a link in the description below, so don't worry, you'll have access to this step-by-step instructions. I'm pretty sure no one's done this before, so I'm really happy to put this information out there. Like I said, it took me a long time to find. And lastly, if you manage to get these ads incorporated and your app is on the App Store or something, go ahead and put a link down below in the comment section because I want to know what you guys are making. And the more views you get on your app, the more impressions you get, the more money you can make. All right? So with that being said, let's get into the code. All right, so here we are in the Google Doc. Okay, this is an example screenshot of one of the apps I made just for this purpose. It's the one I'll make right now too. So you can see this test ad at the bottom. All right, and that can be a real ad too, no problem. You can make money from it. As always, donate to Kivy if you are able to, because they're unfunded at the moment, or pretty much unfunded, the development of the Kivy framework. And of course, subscribe to me so I can keep making these videos. You guys' support really keeps me going. All right, so, okay, table of contents, that's fine. Step number 1, we need to install CocoaPods, all right? If you have any trouble with this step, follow this link to Stack Overflow. Okay, but this just lets you install CocoaPods, and CocoaPods lets you install the framework for AdMob. So we need to run this line from the command line somewhere. Okay, so you could run that. I've already ran these 3, so I don't need to do it again. So you don't have to do that the first time. Not a big deal. Probably won't have any errors. All right, so run those 3, come back to the video, and we'll continue. That might take 10 minutes or so. Next, we need to add the pods for AdMob to my iOS project. All right, so I need to create my project first with Kivy iOS. I'm assuming you've already done that at this point. So I'll just do sudo./toolchain.py create, and I'll say video example, and then give it the path to my project folder with my Python code, my app, all that stuff. Okay, so not uploaded, iOS AdMob. Okay, so I'm creating my Kivy iOS project. If you don't know how to do this yet, I've got a video on this earlier. Go check it out, part of the Friendly Fitness tutorial. Okay, so I've created this, and I just need to make sure I have the capability to edit all these files in here. I haven't seen people have to do this before, so this just might be me. But I don't have like normal permissions. Okay, so now go into the project folder that was made. So that Kivy iOS just made for me in your command line. So cd video example. All right, I'll close that. So here I am in video example. So I've completed this step. Now I need to run pod init. Okay, easy, it's finished. And then I've created a file now from pod init that's called pod file, and I need to open it. So I'll open it using Xcode, that's -a Xcode. So open -a Xcode pod file. All right, and now it's like the next step. Now I've got screenshots in here too, so it's super easy to follow this this instruction little booklet. So I need to put in these 2 lines here that I've circled in red. Okay, so space pod quote firebase/core. All right, space pod firebase/admob. There we go. I'll save it and I'll close it. Done. Next step, step 3. Link your iOS app with Firebase. So if you don't have a Firebase account yet or a Firebase project, you need to make one. So it's pretty easy. It doesn't cost anything. It takes maybe 5 minutes. I already have an account though, so I'll just use one of my old projects. So you'll have to create a new project here and then accept and whatever, but it takes a little bit, so I'll skip that. I can use one of my existing projects. Okay, so here I am in my Firebase project. So now I need to click on the settings icon in the top left and click project settings. So I'll go up here, project settings. Okay, next step from the doc. Scroll down a bit to the field titled Add App. Alright, so I'll scroll down. Mine's right here because I've already added a couple when I was practicing for this video. You'll see something similar. So press Add App and then click iOS. Alright, now we need to get the bundle ID of our app. So we can get that by opening the Xcode project. So I'll say open video example.xcode project. And I'll click over here. Here's my bundle identifier. So I'll copy that. Whatever yours is, this has to be your bundle identifier. And then I can just hit register app. Takes a couple seconds. And now I can just close out of here. I don't need to follow the rest of these steps because I've documented it already. Okay, so I closed out there. And let's go back to the instructions. So I got my bundle ID and I put it in there and I registered my app. Okay, click, no problem. Next step, step 4. Look, we're already almost halfway done. Okay, download the Google service info.plist file and add it to your Xcode project. Alright, so if you look over here in my iOS app that's linked with Firebase, I can click this download button. So this is basically like a config file for all the Google services, and AdMob is a Google service. Okay, so I've downloaded it. Perfect. Next step, drag the file from your downloads folder into the resources folder inside your Xcode project. So I'll go over here to Xcode, and you can see my little resource area. Alright, so all I need to do is drag and drop. So I'll just drag this, the file I just downloaded, and I'll drop it in here. And I'll just hit finish. These are the correct fields. Okay, so finish. Now you can see it's in there. Perfect. All right, let's go back to the instructions. When dropping the file, you'll see that window that popped up. Make sure it looks like this, and then hit finish. Okay, so I just did that. So we're flying through these. Really, it's not too hard to do. It's just hard to find out how to do. Alright, so next step, install the CocoaPod frameworks. This is to actually get AdMob in there. So close your Xcode project. I can do that. Alright, now from a terminal window, run pod install. Alright, pod install. It'll take a second. And here we go. We've got all these errors right now, or warnings, which we'll take care of, because that will cause issues, but we'll take care of it. Okay, so when you run the pod install, we now created a workspace, an Xcode Workspace. So before I'd open my Xcode project, now from here on out, I always need to work with my Xcode Workspace. Alright, so the workspace is still called whatever you've called your app.xc workspace now, instead of xc project. So let's see what my instructions are. Adjust the Xcode build settings. Okay, so I need to open the, let's see, I'll write this in here. Open the workspace file, your app name.xc workspace. Okay, so open video example.xc workspace. Okay, I'll hit enter, and here I am. It doesn't look any different, but now I've got this pods tab. Okay, so we need to adjust the build settings. So in the build settings tab of your Xcode project, make sure the enable modules field is set to yes. Okay, so I've got a screenshot of it here, and we're going to do it. So I'll click over here to my app. I'll go to build settings, and I'll search for enable modules. See an objective C, so this has to be yes. Alright, next step. Also in build settings, add 2 entries to the other linker flags field. So I'll search for other linker flags. Alright, other linker flags. Okay, I need to add two fields. One for dash objc, okay, for Objective-C. So I'll double click here and I'll click plus, dash capital O, BJ, capital C, enter. And then I'll do it again and I'll put a $, open parenthesis, and then inherited, okay, and then enter. That's good. Now you see it populates some stuff in there talking about Firebase and AdMob, and that's fine. Okay, so now to the next step, C. Add an entry for inherited in the framework search paths of the build settings. Okay, so same thing. I'll search over here for framework search paths. There it is, right? And I'll double click, and I will add inherited here, hit return, and we're done. Next, I have to do the same thing for another field, or another field, header search paths. Okay, so we have to add this $inherited field. Okay, so let's search for it. Header search path. And this one has multiple values, one for debug and one for release. See, it's under header search paths. So I'll add inherited to both. Inherited, return. And then down here as well, inherited, return. Nice. Okay, and lastly for this step, I need to go into the pods section of my Xcode Workspace. So that's right up here. Okay, so I'll click that. Then I have to go to build settings. And this should be the default, but we got to make sure that the build active architecture only is set to no in release. So I'll search for it, build active architecture. Okay, here we go. Here it is, and it's set to no for release. So I'm fine there. Okay, now the last step here is run another pod install command. So we've updated our settings, and we need to reinstall the pod. So I will go over here and run pod install. All right, you see we got way less warnings, and this last one is fine. I haven't had any issues with this one. Okay, so now we can move to the next step. Add the required code to your Xcode files. This was hard to find, guys. All right, so in your main.m file, so if I look over here in my video example, and I hit the drop-down arrow, and if I go to sources, I can click main.m. So I have to modify this file a little bit. So first thing I need to do, if I look at the instructions, is add this line that I've highlighted. I can copy paste from here. All right, pretty handy. Copy and paste. All right, and next, also in my main.m file, include the code snippet from this link. Okay, here's a little gist that I created. So this is part of the main.m file. Your main.m file is fine, you just need to add this in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy all this. Okay, so I'll all the way down here. Oops, too far. All right, so I'll copy this, and I need to put the code snippet, which I just copied, just after my imports. So below, below the highlighted line above. Okay, so I'll go here, and I will just paste. All right, there. I've got a bunch of code in there. This code creates a class in this main.m file, and the class is related to a Google ad banner. Okay. Now, next step, I need 2 extra lines which go inside the main function. So those are the last additions we need to the main.m function, or main.m file, and in the main.m file there's this main function. Okay. To quickly find the spot where you should put the 2 lines, just search for this, return RET, in your main.m file. So I'll do that. I'm in my main.m file, and I'll search up here for return RET. Here's the line. So I found the line, and now I need to I'll need to replace your app ID with the actual app ID once you create an AdMob account. So that's a later step. So don't worry too much about this right now. But the 2 lines that I need to add into my main.m file are right here. So I can copy them. And also you'll notice I've got a screenshot here. These are the 2 lines. Okay. I'll copy them and I'll paste them just above this return ret line. There we go. And I'll save my file. There we go. So this right here, your app ID, that'll have to be changed. We'll come back to it. Once you create an AdMob account and then you create a project for your app, then you'll get this app ID and we'll have to replace it. Okay? That is coming up. Step 8, we need to create the AdMob account, right? So go to admob.com, and if you don't have an account yet, you need to create one. I do, so I will simply sign in. And then once you've signed in, we need to add a new app to your account. So here's the home screen. As you can see, guys, I made a whopping 17 cents last month. So I don't have anything in production right now, but I made some money. Although you can't withdraw anything until you hit $100, so we'll see how many years it takes to get that. Okay, so I need to create a new app as in my instructions. So I'll click on apps here and then add app. Okay? Have I published my app on the App Store? I have not. Enter my app information. Okay, subscribe to Eric. That's the name. It's an iOS app. Okay, congrats. Your app has been added to AdMob. Okay, so let's go down and look at the instructions. So I've created my app. I gave it a name. Okay, here's the screen that it showed me. This is my app ID. Okay, so next I need to create an add unit. So at this point I've created my account and my app in AdMob. So now I need to create an actual ad that I want to display. So I can do that by just clicking create ad unit here. We'll be using a banner ad in this example, okay? You can't do interstitial, you can't do reward, you have to hit banner. All right, and ad format banner, ad unit name, test banner for video. Okay, and then create ad unit. It's that easy. All right, so here is once again my app ID, and then down here is now my ad unit ID. Okay, so they sound similar, but they're different. You can tell that this is my app ID because right here I've got a little squiggle, and down here I've got a slash. Okay, so that's the difference when you're looking at them directly. So next step, I've created an ad unit. You don't have to actually create this ad unit because you can work with Google's test ad, which is what I'll show in this video. But if you actually want to get paid, you do have to do that step, this create ad unit step, okay? And next, I guess sorry, I got ahead of my instructions here. So create the ad banner unit. So I've just done this. I clicked the banner. I gave it a name, okay? You'll be shown a screen with your app ID. That's this screen right here. So here's my app ID, remember. App ID has the tilde, and then the ad unit ID has the /. That's how you differentiate between the two. Okay, and there's a screen we were just looking at. Now, we need to insert my app ID and the ad unit ID, if you decide to make one, into your Xcode project. All right, so first put your app ID into the proper line in the main.m file. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. All right, copy that. And in the main.m file, remember we've got this right here, so I can replace this with my app ID, just like that. All right, I'll save that. Okay. Also in main.m, find the following line. So this line here, self.gbanner.addunitid, so I'll search for that. gbanner.addUnit ID. Okay, so what's in here right now, this is the add unit ID for Google's test ad. Google's test ad is how you make sure that you've implemented everything correctly, all right? As I've written in this comment here, if you use Google's test ad unit ID, which is right here, and you see it, you've integrated everything correctly, okay? So I'm gonna leave this alone, but when you actually wanna make money, you would take this right here. This is your ad unit ID. You would copy that and you would paste it in here. Oops. You'd paste it right there. Now your ad would show up rather than Google's test ad. I'm not doing this right now. Number one, because it took 6 hours for my it took 6 hours for my ad unit ID right here to be created. So since I just created mine for this video, it's not going to show up if I leave it like that. So I'll use the Google test ad banner ID. And if I see it, I know I've done everything correctly. And then tomorrow or something, I can put in my ad unit ID and I'll see my ad show up. If you use your ad unit ID right now, this instant, you probably won't see it, okay? So don't be worried. Okay, so next step, replace the ad unit ID with, which currently, as I've explained, is the test ad unit ID, with your ID. Okay, I've covered that. If that doesn't make sense, let me know in a comment. I'll respond. Okay, and then lastly, we need to add an entry in the info.plist file. So your app name -info.plist. You can find that by going to resources here, and then right here, the name of your app -info.plist. So I need to create a new field. So I'll hover over information property list, I'll hit the plus, and the name of this should be capital GAD application identifier with a capital I. Okay? So like I said, the entry should have a name of GAD application identifier, and the value should be your app ID. So I'll go back to AdMob, here's my app ID. Okay? And I'll double click here to put the value, paste and enter. So there we go, I've added this field. Next step in the instructions list is to add the Python code. So I haven't shown you guys the Python code yet. So let's do that. This is as simple as you can get, right? Here is the Python code that will show an ad in your app, okay? I've imported platform, which lets me know if I'm working on iOS or Android or PC, whatever. So if the platform is iOS, I need to, from PyObjects, import autoclass, and then I'll create this variable self.bannerAd, and I'll use the autoclass function and call the addSwitch class, which is what I had you guys bring into your main.m file, and then initialize it. Okay, so this right here, these 3 lines, put it in the onStart method. That's where it needs to go, and it will display your ad. And then later you can call this show banner or hide banner function if you want to show or hide the ads as a button, you know, as a button function or whatever. Anytime you want to show or hide them, you can do that. So this is all the code you need in Python to show your ad. Okay, so incorporate that however you need to in your app, and then that's it. So I have to do a couple little changes just to make my app run. So I need to sign it. Okay, I have a developer account, so I've covered that in videos before, like I said in the friendly fitness videos. And then also over here in build phases, on this first run script, I need to add a -O -- no -perms. And now, when I hit run, everything will build. hopefully I get no errors because this was a single take video, which is why I need a glass of water right now. And it'll build and think. So I'm running on an iPhone XR. All right, it's loading up. So probably I'll show you guys putting in the actual ad unit ID as well, and you can see what happens. You'll see the ad won't show up, and that's because it just takes 6 or 10 hours, whatever, for your ad to be created internally in AdMob or something like that. However that works exactly. And while it's loading up, yeah, I'll make this little comment. I noticed that on other people's phones, my ads weren't showing up sometimes, and that's because there's this feature called limit ad tracking on iPhones. If that's enabled, it is sometimes by default. I don't know why exactly. If this feature is enabled, they won't see ads, or at least not as many ads. So you can find whether or not this is enabled on anyone's iPhone by checking settings, privacy, advertising, and you'll see this field in there. Okay. Lastly, thank you for watching, and I hope you learned, I hope you enjoyed, I hope you go make some money. Let me know, subscribe to me, I really appreciate it, and let's see if this is running. Boom, there it is. Here's my app. My app right now is just a picture, and here's my ad. So if I click, it'll take me to the ads website. If that was a real app, I would have made maybe 1/1,000,000th of a cent right there. I don't know. Okay, and really quickly, I'll show you guys what happens if I go back to the main.m file and I replace this ad unit ID. So remember, that's the one for the Google test ad, which I just clicked on. So if I put my actual ad unit ID, which will make me money, if I put that in here and I save and I run again, let's watch what happens. It should be quicker this time because the iPhone is already up. All right, so nothing is happening. Nothing is not showing up. Why won't it show up? We can look down here at the errors. Man, go away. We can look down here. We're getting an error. Request error, no ad to show. So if that happens, that means that your ad unit ID is not in the system yet. Okay, so don't worry, don't freak out. Give it a day or two, and hopefully it'll be in there by then. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time. Let me know if there's anything in particular you guys want to see so I have ideas for videos. All right, let's try to hit 100 subscribers with this. I'm at 88 right now. I'd love to hit 100. Okay, bye guys.